All right, then now it's 4 o'clock, and I would like to wish you all welcome to Sustainable Design Group, our webinar series 2020. We have this webinar series during 2020, but we will also continue next year with this. So very welcome to this session today, which will be with Adam Björk, and I will present him a little bit later. First, I would like to introduce you a little bit to Design Society. And my name is Sofie Hallstedt. I'm a professor at Blekinge Institute of Technology in Sweden. I'm also the chair of Sustainable Design SIG, this special interest group from this year. So Sustainable Design SIG is part of the Design Society, and we have in total 16 different special interest groups in Design Society, and Sustainable Design SIG is one of those. Design Society is an interdisciplinary community of academics and industry practitioners with the goal of developing and promoting a robust, usable, and scalable means of designing solutions to complex problems. So basically, the main goal of Design Society is to bridge the gap between the research problems and practical outcomes. And we are part of a broad community with more than 800 participants from more than 50 countries. And we have the shared goal to actually develop design, and design in a broad sense, design of products, design of services, design of systems. So if you're interested to learn more about Design Society, you're welcome to visit our website, which is designsociety.org. And here you can find more information, both how you become a member, so you can get access to all activities and resources. This webinar, which is an open webinar, will be recorded. So this will also then be available on the web page for members after the presentation. So now to our presenter. We will have Adam Björk here that will present for us today, and he will talk about how are we building tomorrow. And Adam Björk is a global director of sustainability and public affairs at Volvo Construction Equipment in Gothenburg, Sweden. I have got to learn and know Adam by research projects, and I'm very, very happy to have him here. Adam has have a Master of Science, Environmental Science from Sweden University in Gothenburg, and he has a long career from Volvo and different positions in Volvo companies. He started his career in Volvo Car, and then he had also had different positions in Volvo Technology AB and Volvo Construction Equipment. He has been at Volvo Construction Equipment since 2013, and now is the Global Director of Sustainability and Public Affairs. I'm very happy to have him here today to present to us. So during the time Adam present, we will be glad if you will post questions to Adam in the chat box, and then after the session we will go through the questions and Adam have time to answer them. So please don't forget to put some questions in the chat box. Okay, and then I will ask Adam to share his screen and then start the presentation.
Absolutely. So please bear with me. I will just make sure the sharing works as it should. Now, hopefully you should be able to see my screen, I hope. So thank you very much, Sophie, for the presentation, and really happy to be with you here today and talk about how we address the topic of sustainability and show you a little bit what we are doing in this area. And I would like to start with introducing Volvo Construction Equipment a little bit more for you. Now I will just see if I will be able to change screens here. Now, hopefully you're seeing a screen with a nice yellow machine on. Good. About Volvo Construction Equipment, we are part of the Volvo Group, and we're one of the world leading producers of articulated haulers, which is the machine that you see on the picture. But that's definitely not the only machine that we produce. We are also among the world leaders in the segments wheel loaders, excavators, and compact equipment. And besides that, we also have road machinery in our portfolio. And our company has roots since long back, and we were actually founded in 1832, started as Munktell's Mekaniska Verkstad in Eskilstuna, Sweden, where we produced, among other things, agricultural equipment. So we were actually there roughly 100 years before Volvo cars came about. Today we are working mainly towards the construction sector with our products and solutions, but we're also delivering to extraction, waste handling, forestry, and the material handling business sectors. And we are composed of 3 different brands. Besides Volvo, we have SDLG, which is our Chinese joint ventures. It stands for Shandong Linggong. And we also manufacture and sell products under the name of Terex Trucks. And we are about 13,000 employees present globally in Volvo CE, and we are about 100 employees within the Volvo Group. And in CE, we manufacture our products in different parts of the world. And on the screen here, you can see what products we produce and where. The majority of our operations are in Europe. And in Sweden, for example, we have our core plants for wheeled excavators, for wheel loaders and for articulated haulers in Arvika, respektive Braås. As you can see, we also have product development operations at some of our production sites, and we also have some specific product development sites, for example, in Jinan in China and in Poland. So this is a little bit of an introduction to us. And if we move on then to this topic of sustainability, Volvo has a long heritage in the area of sustainability, and we started already in the 70s with introducing environment as a core value for the group. We were then one of the first companies to bring environment onto the company agenda. The man you see on the picture here is P.G. Gyllenhammar, who was the CEO at the time. And one of the famous quotes from P.G. was that we are part of the problem, but we are also part of the solution. And by saying that, it was actually one of the first industries that acknowledged that there is a problem and that the industry is part of that problem. So how do we define and approach sustainability then within Volvo CE? When I started working with sustainability in the broader sense, I approached a lot of people and I asked them, what is sustainability for you? And for all the different people I spoke to, they all had different definitions of sustainability. So we found it necessary to sit down and define more clearly what is sustainability for us. And Although this picture is getting almost a little bit cliched, I think it's still very valid. And for us, true sustainability must combine the economic, environmental, and the social sustainability dimensions. Sustainability for us can also be described in the context of our purpose statement: to adopt a sustainable mindset across the value chain to deliver clean, productive, and innovative products and services to customers and a better world to society. So taking this one step further, for environmental and social sustainability, we have defined 5 key contributors. And for environment, those are reduce emissions and limit the use of natural resources. On the social side, we have strengthen health, safety, and well-being, embed business ethics, and drive societal development. And for each contributor, we've also assigned a long-term and defined a long-term vision for where we want to go. In this presentation today, I will focus mainly on the environmental dimension and our activities in that area. We will touch on some of the other contributors as well, but this is where my focus is going to be. And if you have questions about the other parts, you're welcome to address them later on in the QA section. With respect to each area in the sustainability approach, we have also set targets and directions. And besides our high-level sustainability approach, an important input to what we do is, of course, found in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, as well as in other global and regional policies and ambitions. And there is a lot of things happening on that side at the moment. We have the EU Green Deal, we have the financial community waking up with the taxonomy in EU, for example, and a lot of different initiatives in various areas. So this is, of course, something that is growing a lot at the moment. A couple of weeks ago, in the beginning of November, actually the 5th of November, Volvo Group communicated that we have now committed to science-based targets, which we are very, very happy for. And this is a work that has been ongoing for some time internally, and it's a natural next step from our Climate Savers program that we started in cooperation with WWF in 2012. So this is, of course, also an important foundation for us in the environmental work. Some other important principles for the work is to maintain a holistic view of sustainability throughout the value chain. This is also an enabler for transitioning into the circular economy, where the product value is maximized while minimizing the negative impact outputs in terms of emissions and waste. And I will come back to these topics a little bit in a few examples later. So the value chain perspective is central in how we address sustainability and environmental care internally. And even though we're going to speak mainly about product development today, I want to stress the point that whatever we do and how we design product really affects how we are addressing sustainability in other parts of the value chain as well. So reconnecting to our first contributor, reduce emissions, the use of our products is the main contributor to our carbon footprint seen from a life cycle perspective. And approximately 80 to 85% of our footprint comes from the use of the products with conventional powertrains, with diesel. So of course, decreasing product emissions is an important focus area for us. In the same time, we accelerate the activities within electrification, renewable fuels, and other alternative power sources. For our products, we've set a vision to be 100% safe, 100% fossil-free, and 100% productive. And to get there, electromobility, automation, and connectivity are important enablers, what we call disruptive technologies. And through combining these three, we can create better conditions for achieving this. And we will see a few examples later on during the presentation. If we start in the end of electromobility, we launched actually in February this year a fully electric product series with compact wheel loaders and compact excavators. So electrification has already started for us. And when we launched these machines, that made us the first company in the industry to take this step with battery electric. In the same time, we stopped new diesel engine development for all the compact segments. And these machines, they have broadly the same performance, but with zero direct emissions and with reduced noise levels than other machines. And an important part in the development of these machines is cooperation with customers, and we have done the development work in so-called customer pilots. One example is Colas in France. And this is really a new phase in the development of the machines. And we have been able to cut the lead time in the projects by doing this. On the same time, it provides a more agile approach to product development. In this picture, you can see one of these electric excavators that we have launched, one of the pilot machines. And this particular excavator was part of building an exhibition garden at the Chelsea Flower Show in London late last year. And this particular garden, the Morgan Stanley Garden, is an exhibition garden with focus on environment and material sustainability. So is it only compact machines then that where you can utilize the EMOB concepts? Actually, the work is now continuing with electrifying products in different machine segments. And truthfully, we see opportunities in all areas. Of course, for the larger machines, battery electric will not be enough for a power source. And I think what we are looking at in the future is really a variation of different sustainable power technologies. So besides battery electric, which we've already touched on, we also have cable electric machines or grid connected machines, and this can be applicable for certain more stationary machines, for example, excavators that are standing in one place and digging. Hydrogen technology is something we put a lot of research into at the moment, and where we see a potential then for the larger machine segments with a combination of hydrogen and battery electric. Of course, the combustion engines, they will be around for some time, and for many years to come, that the majority of our products will be with conventional engines. But here we have the opportunity, of course, to run on different alternative fuels. And today, all of our machines are adjusted to be able to be driven on HVO 100, for example, which will, of course, significantly decrease the net CO2 emissions. There are also a range of possibilities to decrease emissions of the conventional machines. On the right side, you see a few examples. For example, working with the hydraulic efficiency can be recuperation of energy, throttle-free hydraulics, for example. Also reduction potential in auxiliary efficiency, like, for example, electrification of auxiliary systems. And on the powertrain side, it's optimization of combustion, transmission, and software improvements for the engines, for example. And of course, through and especially on the hydraulic side, we see a lot of potential improvements, which of course will enable battery electric solutions for larger machines as well in the future. I would also like to mention another example of a project where we have combined the three technologies: electrification, automation, and connectivity. And we call this project Electric Sites. And it's been driven in cooperation with the construction and infrastructure corporation Skanska. This project was carried out in a quarry at Hisingen in Göteborg, actually very close to where I'm sitting at the moment. And this picture shows the activities that were performed at this quarry before the start of the pilot. So the equipment that was used was driven exclusively on diesel fuel. On top of that, the noise levels were under peak production high, and there were safety risks involved with many of the activities. For example, movement of goods. What you see in the picture here is in a nutshell, the operations. There was a mobile crusher for crushing rock, loaded by a 70-ton excavator driven on diesel. There were 3 rigid haulers that were transporting the crushed stone masses, and they were loaded onto the haulers by a 50-ton wheel loader. So a noisy environment, a lot of safety risks, a lot of inefficiencies in terms of waiting times, and of course the CO2 emissions from the diesel consumptions were there. We went through the flow of the different activities, and to see what could be replaced with available and concept technologies. For instance, the excavator and the crusher that could be replaced with electrified grid-connected machines. The concept also includes a smaller hybrid wheel loader and battery electric autonomous mini haulers that you see in the picture here as well, and you'll see a better picture a little bit later on here. So by doing this, we could significantly then reduce the diesel consumption. We could support direct loading, and we could increase the safety by decreasing the machine-man interactions and creating a better work environment in the end. And here you will see the mini hauler, the automated mini haulers. There were 8 of them in the concept, and this is a hybrid wheel loader and 50-ton loading. So the $1 million question then is, of course, what does it cost then to electrify? Isn't this much more expensive with an electric machines in combination with in contraction to a conventional machine? And when comparing conventional machines with electric today, I mean, the answer is surely yes. But one aspect of this concept is also downscaling, and here automation and connectivity can come into play. What you see in the picture here is, of course, with big machines, you need big batteries and you need high charging power. In the end, it will result in a high cost. If you downscale to smaller machines, you will use less batteries and less charging power, but you will need more operators. So there will still be a higher overall cost. But by the automation of and downscaling in combination, you could go with less battery power, less charging power. You could eliminate the operators, and then you will land at a reduced overall cost. So what was then the result of this pilot? The project could present the cut in operator cost with 40%. The energy reductions the energy costs could be reduced with 70%. And in the end, the carbon emissions were decreased with 98%. And I wanted to bring up this example not only to show an example of a sustainable product concept and the possibilities of combining the disruptive technology, but also to highlight the possibility with taking a more comprehensive approach on understanding the customer needs and how solutions can be developed by partnering closer with the customer. And in the long run, of course, this can enable the possibility to new business concepts and ultimately adding more value to the customers. So, and we are looking at a lot of other advanced engineering projects with key customers in other sectors, where we see the possibility to go beyond just selling a product or a machine towards selling a total customer solution or customer service, if you will, where the machine is an integrated part of the customer construction ecosystem. We talked a lot about emissions, and of course, I mean, emissions is really a key topic for us. But I think I would also like to highlight the area of sustainable management of materials and waste, and especially now going towards net zero products, it will increase the focus on how materials are extracted, how hazardous chemicals are avoided, and how our products and their materials can be reused to a higher extent. So, for example, we are working with substances of concern, and one of the key focus areas at the moment is retrieving a better understanding of what our products contain, and we do that through our substance management project, where we request so-called MDSs, material data sheets, from our suppliers on incoming material, where we can follow up certain hazardous substances, but also different material categories that we have in our machines and so forth. Besides that, we are also working with responsible sourcing of minerals. So, for example, we are connected to the Responsible Minerals Initiatives, and we work through a third-party partner to follow up on not only on conflict minerals that we are required to do by law in certain countries, but also for minerals like cobalt, for example, where we know that there are big environmental and social issues with the extraction of those materials. Besides substances of concern, another important area, of course, is the design for manufacturing. And design for manufacturing is a lot of things, really. What you see in the picture is examples of where we are looking into using recycled materials in interior cab parts, and this is something that we have ambitions to increase further. But of course, recycled materials is not the only thing. We are looking at other types of sustainable materials like bio-based, and an important part of this is also, I mean, of course, how we design for reuse, remanufacturing, and refurbishment. And I can mention also here that we are and we have been working for many years with remanufacturing of, for example, engines and transmissions. But what we are also looking at how we can expand this to more product groups and expanding the business of our remanufacturing. I want to reconnect again to we talked about the life cycle perspective and the importance of having that, and we are also working with life cycle assessments. LCA is not a new concept, of course. It's been around for long, and we've used it within Volvo, both for complete products and for systems and components, and comparing those. But what we've seen historically in Volvo is that this has generated reports, engineering reports that were rarely used. They were put in a bookshelf somewhere, and we took a stance a couple of years back. We wanted to change this, and so we launched a new project during 2019 to revisit how we quantify the LCA data in the different value streams. But an important part of this project was also to address the organizational implementation of the LCA, to see how we can create the organizational prerequisites for working with the LCA data and to make improvements based on the LCA data. So this project is ongoing. We have finalized this for articulated haulers. We are now moving on to the next product group, which is wheel loaders, and we will then expand it to the complete product segment within Volvo CE. I would also like to highlight the growing importance of partnerships, and what we've seen along the presentation here is already some examples of partnerships. For example, with Skanska on the electric side, with our suppliers on LCA, and I mentioned initially our partnership with WWF around the Climate Savers program, and we are now taking the next step with WWF on science-based targets, and this has been really useful for us because they, as an NGO, they have a very I would say strong drive in these issues, and they really challenge us as an industry to take more action, basically, and we think that is really a strength and a kind of a quality mark on what we do as well. Besides that, we also have academic partners here, of course, and I think academia also has an important role today in connecting different stakeholders in a broader societal scale, and as you see from for example the construction factory that I talked about earlier, there is a lot of possibilities when you connect in the different industry verticals, so to say. So I think partnerships is really growing and is key to what we do in the sustainable product development area. In conclusion, I would like to mention some hurdles that you sometimes bump into and how they are being addressed. And I would like to start in the area of functional focus. I've been working in large companies, as Sophie described earlier, for many years, and I think it's very evident when you're in a large company that you tend to focus very much on your own function, and we within purchasing or we within product development, we focus on this, but I think it's really important to be able to work cross-functionally and to boost the cross-functional work, and this is something that we also see that we are doing more, and here again, coming back to working in a more agile way that really that really requires a cross-functional way of working as well. Another aspect of this is also top-down decision making, which also takes time, and where we need to go. Working more cross-functionally also enables having a quicker and more agile decision making. Another thing is sustainability being its own pipeline. I remember seeing that very much when I started working in the sustainability or the environmental area, for that matter, that there was like an environmental pipeline, and we are working a lot to embed sustainability in governance, decision making, financial decisions, and whatnot. And I think this is also something that is very important to really integrate sustainability fully. Being a global company, we see a lot of global differences. For example, how you perceive things like environmental care, and for example, being in the Nordic countries, we are quite far ahead when it comes to environment. But sometimes when I speak to colleagues in other parts of the world, they have a very hard time understanding, for example, why you should put money on certain things in certain environmental investments and so on. And I think here it's important to have a global mindset and a global dialogue on where we want to be, and to really have a transparency and regarding the targets. Delivery culture. I used to work previously in production, and I've seen also the journey that we've done there. And going back in time, it was a lot of focus on machines out the door. But now we are talking more about the sustainability culture, and of course, obviously, it's to really bring a valuable product to the market. You need to make sure that it's a good quality product, that it's produced in a safe and environmentally sound way. We've also seen traditionally a lot of borders between entities, and again, stressing the partnership aspect. I think we have a much more open discussion and cooperation climate today, and that's also something which goes beyond the company borders to a very high extent. It really is necessary to build and nurture partnerships with different societal stakeholders. And of course, we are still tuned a lot to conventional products and conventional ways of doing business. And I think with the disruptive technologies, we also need to rethink a lot how we do business and how we adapt to new business models. So I would say that we are some way on this journey. There is of course more to be done, not only within our company but within the business as a whole. But we are in transition here. But I think it's something that we need to reflect on, and that we need to continuously work on. And I think I want to end really by stressing the importance of culture, company culture, and how we nurture this company culture for the success of sustainable product development in the future. I mean the key asset for us in the company is really our people and the work we do, and it's really important that we put a lot of effort in how we work together and how we enhance the sustainability culture of the organization. And with that, I would like to thank you very much for listening in today. I conclude with this slide showing our electric machine concepts in action again. And I will of course be happy to take on if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see, are you going to show anything, Adam? Are you going to play something?
Yeah, I can try playing this movie we had in the end here, if you would like to. I don't know how it will work.
Otherwise, maybe we can send it in the link. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's better, and then we take questions instead.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, me too. Okay, good. Thank you very much again for the presentation. I think it was really interesting, and again, I think it's impressive and very inspiring to hear that Volvo is so proactive and take many actions. You talked about new technologies and how you work with different actors in the value chain, and and how you believe that it's important to have good partnership is one key. Integrate sustainability, you mentioned, is one key, of course, that it is integrated overall, and then also you stress the importance of creating a good culture regarding sustainability in the company. So I think it was very, very interesting, and we have many questions, many questions. And let's see, we have some questions regarding circular economy, and then some questions regarding the electrical machines, new technologies that you have described, and also some additional questions regarding decisions in the processes and so on. So I think we actually start from the beginning with the first question, which was from Steve. And Steve, he was asking a question there, how do you see the synergies and trade-offs between circular economy and the SDGs and the science-based targets? So can you see if there are any trade-offs between those two concepts?
I would say I'll start in the end of synergies, because I mean there are definitely synergies, and I mean it's all connected really. I mean it's as we see the circular economy, one part of that is of course reducing the negative emissions, and in terms of trade-offs, I guess the trade-offs will come in efforts and resources possibly, and I can sometimes, and I'm being very honest here. I mean, it is a lot of efforts, development efforts going into developing new electrified concepts and so on, and then it's for example the area of material sustainability and recyclability is something that we maybe need to push a little bit more on to really get it accepted by the organization. And I think but I also think that you need to work in parallel with these two topics. So I will not say that there are contradictions, but it's I don't think that or I think it's becoming more and more evident that we need to increase not only the efforts but also the resources and the focus and the budget in order to manage this.
Mm. I can jump into another question that came from Tim, which is a little bit maybe related, but his goes more in the process level. So does Volvo Construction Equipment deal with sustainability in the process and when making design decisions? So for example, are there rising decision points between cost, quality, and sustainability? And in that case, how do you decide which are more important or precedents?
Yeah, and yes, we do this kind of trade-off. And I was actually in contact with a colleague earlier today on one of these situations, and one of the questions was really how much extra cost can we accept to have a more sustainable solution. We definitely do that. I would say we have a higher maturity maybe in certain areas compared to others, but it's something we take into account, and we also have certain tools like for example what we call eco design tools that can be helpful in doing this prioritization and making sure that you don't miss certain considerations in different design stages of the machines.
That was very interesting to hear. As we are glad that we hear that, as we are doing research a lot in different support tools in decision making. So it's good that they are for support and that they can be used. Another question I think which could be maybe related to this regarding how much it can cost and what are the like pay benefits and so on is from Jeremy. He has a question: have your customers found financial return of investment on, for example, electrical machines as well as sustainability benefits?
I think it was very obvious from the Skanska case that this was the case, I think it's very hard to say, but we also know that for some customers it's really a prerequisite to have a zero carbon machine. For example, some of the big cities in Scandinavia, Oslo and Copenhagen, for example, they already have this in certain procurement processes that they want to have zero emission work sites, and then for the customer to be able to get that deal, they need to be able to show that they have a zero emission product, and then of course they will consider some of our zero emission vehicles in that. So of course in that sense it's maybe not the financial benefit, but it's a prerequisite to be able to engage in certain deals.
Mm. Mm. Great, thanks. We had a question here also from Heather that asks, what role does sustainability play as a driver for innovation, would you say?
I think if you'd asked me, I would say 2 years ago, I would probably be a little bit vague on that question. But since you're asking me today, I will say it has a great impact. But it really shows also what's happening both outside in the society and what's happening also in the industry, and that there is a lot more focus on this, and I mean there is not a leadership meeting in our company that does not address the topic of sustainability in one way or another, and I mean that's the point that we have come to today. So sustainability is I would say really addressed. Then me being a sustainability working with sustainability on a daily basis, I'm never satisfied. Of course there's a personal side of me that think we need to maybe focus more in certain areas or so on, but in general I would say these considerations are there, and that they are focused.
Mm.
These are very good questions, Sophia.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
you have great questions.
It's as my colleagues in Design Society that have these good questions, and we can copy them also for you to bring. Okay, very nice. We have also a good question here from Florine, and which is maybe more of a reflection question when it comes to measure and the impact of changing the machines to electricity. First of all, how do you measure if electricity is better for the environment than diesel engines? And then, of course, it depends maybe on the source that you use to load and get the electricity from. So would you say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, clearly that is the case. I mean, depending on where the energy comes from, electrification is a better or a worse deal. And I mean, looking at the Nordic countries, it's there are LCA studies, for example, done that clearly show that it's been beneficial from an emission point of view to go electric. But we also know that under certain circumstances, maybe driving these electric machines on solely on coal power, for example, that may not be the case, and definitely not if you compare with, for example, certain biofuels where you can reduce CO2 significantly. So it does depend on the concept of where the machine is used.
Mm. So
Um,
can you actually control that? How can you ensure that the electricity come from green electricity instead of fossil-based electricity?
it is very
No.
hard to control, I would say. I mean, we are starting to look into our, and I think this is I could elaborate a little bit on our sustainable business work here, which is another part of the agenda which I didn't bring up today, but we have also started to look into our customers more in detail and doing certain due diligence when we assess customers, especially in certain areas of the world, because we don't want our machines to be part of for example, if we refer back to extraction of cobalt in Democratic Republic of Congo, for example, and that kind of activities. And here we've also started looking into fossil and sales to fossil industry, and should our machines be used in coal mines, or should they be used in to contribute to fossil power? And this is a really interesting discussion, touching a little bit into this, because I mean, we obviously we cannot control today what our suppliers get their power from, but clearly there are a lot of efforts going on in the
Mm.
world. I mean, China announced a couple of months back that they will be CO2 neutral in 2060. It's quite far away, but looking at their power supply today and their dependency on coal, it's still pretty a pretty vast deadline. So I think we are also in a societal transformation, and it will go quickly. And I think we by the time the majority of our products are electric, there will also have been a lot of changes in the energy structure.
Mm.
Also, Europe is changing to renewable at a very high pace at the moment.
Yeah, and probably it's really needed to
Yeah.
have this high pace of change, as we need to make the transition faster.
Mm.
And in relation to this, I think that Daniela's question could be interesting to reflect on. So she said that it's an interesting link between automation and electrification, and wonder if Volvo Construction Equipment also explore sustainable business model innovation towards moving from selling machines to providing machines as a service.
Yes, and as yeah, I kind of touched on this topic, I think. I mean, it's really the question on your tongue when you see a concept like electric site, for example, because what is the project? Sorry, what is the product here, really? It is really a machine concept, or a production concept, and of course, from that, it's very the step is not very far to saying that the product we sell is really the service of providing these quarry operations in a sustainable way according to certain sustainability and cost targets.
Mm.
So it's something we are looking into, of course, and it is an exciting area, and there are a lot of opportunities, and another example is batteries for our battery electric vehicles, where we are looking into for example, different leasing concepts. We are looking into secondary uses, and what can be done with that, and of course, this is also something that involves new business models. And then we have the servitization concept as another example, where we are looking at digitalized servitization, where you could sell a product like, for example, increased uptime due to predictive maintenance through for example, connectivity of machine connectivity.
Mm.
So
Thanks. Yeah.
so we are exploring that for sure, Daniela.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Great. Another question is relating to noise, and it's from Jeremy, who commented that it's nice that your electrical vehicles versions also reduce noise. And has that helped make them more popular with workers? Have you seen that it have been any positive reactions both in neighbors and workers maybe? And also Shafiq says that he suggests that Volvo look into noise pollution advantages of electrification.
Yeah,
Have,
I
have you any comments?
yeah, I have actually. I heard an interview with a customer who was saying exactly this, and that was one of our pilot customers. And on the question, "What do you think of this new machine?" he said, I can actually speak to my supervisor and hearing what he says outside the machine, and we don't need to yell at each other and through the noise. I mean, he can come up to me and speak in a normal tone, and this is really something that has made my day easier, working with a machine. So we do get those comments, and it's everything from customers just pointing at the work environment advantages to customers that earlier had problems with meeting permit thresholds and so on for noise, which have significantly increased their possibility to do operation then by electric machines.
Mm. Fantastic, good. Thanks. And now we have a final question, as I see it. It's from Heather, and she says that it's impressive, and I agree that the amount of diversity of sustainability activities you have presented, and we are very grateful, all of us, that you have been here today. But also a question here: how are these coordinated within the company? Because it seems Heather thinks they are very different in nature. What would you respond to that?
Um, I mean, I work. I can maybe say a few words on my role first, as maybe a start of the answer. And I work. We belong to a small department, sustainability department, and we are located in corporate communications here in Volvo CE. But in truth, we work really cross-functionally with different parts of the organization, and I mean, these the sustainability approach I started with, that is something that is company-wide. That is something that we have decided within Volvo CE, that this is our sustainability approach. But then we also work with roadmaps within the different parts of the organization where we address the different contributors. So the contributors are there in the roadmaps, but we work with different initiatives. But we also try to keep the coordination, and we also try to work cross-functionally. For example, in our sustainability core team, to make sure that we have alignment, and that what we do can have leverage in the complete value chain. But I think this is also part of the transition that we are doing towards working more cross-functionally, so it's a journey, but I would say that we at least we have the forums in place to have that coordination.
Mm. Great, thanks. And I agree. I think also the cross-functional and multidisciplinary is very important, especially if we want to try to move faster towards a more sustainable society. Very nice to have you here. Thanks again. I just want to also let everyone know that we have another presenter that will come in next month, and it's Anna Pattis, who will present sustainable product solutions at Grundfos. So she will be presenting the 15th of December, and we would recommend everyone to register also to this webinar. So thank you everyone, and this was everything from us today.
Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And Adam, jag kan kopiera till dig chatten. Jag tror att du kan kopiera den själv också. Jag ska se, för det kan ju vara intressant att ha frågorna. Save chat står det.